Of course, what is the real reason for the resignation of the Vice President? Of course, writing to Draupadi Murmu in that letter saying that this comes into immediate effect, and that is he's prioritizing his health and abiding by the health advice that has been given to him. Now, this really comes about at a time when he hasn't specified a single reason, what is the health concern that's led for this, very abrupt and sudden move. Well, supposedly it's the opposition-backed notice for that motion to remove Justice Yashwant Verma. That is possibly the reason that could have led to the resignation that he tendered. And of course, the Prime Minister there also wishing him good health. That is a cryptic message that was put out by the Prime Minister, saying that, he had put on various hats, that he had taken on various roles. He was given various opportunities while visiting, while really wishing him good health. Well, we have my colleague Vasudha joining us from right outside the Parliament. Vasudha, the big debate and the big question, of course, today is going to be the Prime Minister's visit to the United Kingdom, with the opposition, demanding that statement as far as Operation Sindoor is concerned. But at the same time, this really is a day when, questions will continue as far as the removal or perhaps, the resignation, from what is being made out to be of the Vice President is, what really led to that move, that sudden and abrupt resignation of the Vice President.
Absolutely. Good morning, Divya. Good morning to all our viewers. I come to you from right outside the Parliament. It's day 3 of the monsoon session of the Parliament. This was supposed to be a blockbuster session, a celebration of Operation Sindoor, a time to commemorate what really went between India and Pakistan, and what are the learnings from Pahalgam terror attack, and also look at the controversial SIR exercise that's going on in poll-bound Bihar. But the resignation of the untimely resignation, the sudden resignation, the sudden exit of Jagdeep Dhankhar as the Vice President of India, and also the chairperson of the Rajya Sabha, has sent not just shockwaves across political spectrum, but it has also led to questions as to what happens next. Now, the procedure says that next Vice President needs to be found, needs to be elected as soon as possible. That's what the Constitution says. And there will be, of course, a process that will be put in place. Remember that Vice Presidents and Presidents get elected by proportional representation. Every MP gets to select, gets to vote preferentially for a Vice President candidate, and it is this vote that gets considered. Remember that there are 542. The Electoral College right now is of 542 Lok Sabha MPs and 240 Rajya Sabha MPs. So clearly NDA has the numbers. It's going to be comfortable, but really the process is going to happen soon is what we've been told. But really there has to be a lot of thinking that has to go within the government circles as to who the best possible candidature is, and will the opposition also put forward a candidate. Now, like you rightly pointed out, there seems to be a trigger as to what really happened on Monday, the first day of the monsoon session. This whole run-up to the impeachment motion against Justice Yashwant Verma, something that Jagdeep Dhankhar suddenly started in the Rajya Sabha. It was supposed to be a motion that was to be passed in the Lok Sabha. 145 MPs had already met the Lok Sabha Speaker. But the Rajya Sabha chairperson, the ex-Rajya Sabha chairperson, also talked about it. We don't know if he had just talked about the opposition MPs submitting the motion of impeachment, or he had actually admitted it. There were about 63 MPs who had submitted this motion, and the Rajya Sabha chairperson, by accepting that motion of impeachment against Justice Verma, also upset top people in the government, is what we've been told, and that could have also triggered to a lot of disagreement between both sides. Remember, this is something that was that was building up over the last few months, and reports, anecdotes that are coming up also talk about this increasing friction between Jagdeep Dhankhar and, of course, the government. But remember, this is a man that the opposition wanted out. Joining me now is Sajjan Kumar and Amitabh Tiwari. Sajjan, to you first. First of all, thank you both of you for joining me this morning. Sajjan, to you first. The opposition clearly has to play the balancing act here. It's not helping them that they're putting out these messages glorifying the ex-vice president. But this is the same opposition that wanted him out. Clearly, a lot of things changed. Many things snapped. How do you read what really happened? And what are the learnings for the BJP from this episode, and also for the opposition?
Yes, Vasudha, good morning. Precisely that this monsoon session was going to be quite stormy was expected, but this is going to be a stormy because of entirely a different reason. That is the resignation of the Vice President and chairperson. That was completely unexpected, and it came as a surprise. Now, for opposition, because given the political culture that we are witnessing, that both the treasury benches and opposition do not want to lose a single point that can humiliate and embarrass the other side, and that is why resignation of the vice president certainly is one brownie point that the opposition would like to employ vis-a-vis the treasury benches. But the problem is that he is a figure who has been a source of problem for the opposition until recently, and therein comes their dilemma. But what is more embarrassing, if you, I mean, coming to your question, what sort of lesson we can expect for the BJP to learn from this episode, and this is about sort of the arrogance of the party. Because see, what is for sure a news that treasury benches will try to come up with justification. The opposition will try to embarrass and encircle the treasury benches. But the silence of the vice president, at least he is in a state of health, wherein he could have come with a supplementary statement to the ease of the ruling party, which is not happening. So certainly something incommensurable between the treasury benches, between the government party and the vice president is there. Two, it also shows that once you see a ruling party start becoming hegemonic and dominant, you also see that they start being more intolerant to any sort of slip which they expect from all their office bearers.
Absolutely, Sajjan, I get your point, but I also think that the BJP as a ruling party has often corrected its mistakes of appointing possibly people who were not really suited with its way of working. And I've seen the chief ministers of Gujarat, Uttarakhand change, and within months there is a certain sense of normalcy. It is seen as very normal in the BJP. Of course, the handling of this matter could have been a little different, is what a lot of people feel. But this government is also 11 years old. Amitabh Tiwari, help me understand that this session was, like Sajjan said, was supposed to be a blockbuster session with a lot of emphasis on Operation Sindoor. Do you think that the opposition and the ruling party, the treasury benches, will also be able to move forward from this episode? It is supposed to be a long session, 32 days, 21 sittings. What is going to happen to the legislative agenda of the government, and also what's going to happen to the opposition trying to ask those questions, wanting to corner the government?
So I think this would last for perhaps this week, because both the opposition and the treasury benches need to be aware that, as you've mentioned, there are, I think, 8 to 12 bills which are to be passed in this session. Perhaps, and even the opposition has much bigger issues to discuss and put the government on the mat. That is on the Pahalgam terror attack, the intelligence failure, perhaps. Even the Operation Sindoor, the SIR exercise, the president's rule in Manipur, etc., etc. So it can derail the opposition attack on the government if they focus too much on this issue. So they need to be careful about that. And as Sajjan mentioned, this was the vice president whom they had brought an impeachment motion against in the last session itself. So this sudden love for the vice president is also a thing that your position or your stand on issues in parliament depends upon where you sit, correct? As you have mentioned, the BJP now perhaps will have to go back to the drawing board and see as to their experiment of bringing different people from different walks of life into important constitutional positions. It has not worked with some guys, and why it has not worked, and whether it can risk such important crucial positions with people who do not match the ideology. And the last thing is that whoever is doing
several solid points there. Yeah.
Whoever is doing judicial activism, perhaps their careers are finished. Ravi Shankar Prasad, Kiran Rijiju had to resign as law minister, and now we have the Vice President Dhankhar as well.
Okay, so taking on the judiciary always has consequences, ramifications. Thank you, Amitabh Tiwari. Thank you, Sajjan Kumar, for joining us. Like Amitabh Tiwari also said, 8 new bills, 7 pending bills. A very important sports governance bill 2025 is going to come up in the Lok Sabha today. This looks at radically changing the way sports governance, sports administration works in India. But, and also 16 hours allocated to Operation Sindoor. But Is the legislative agenda, the opposition's agenda, going to even resonate in the parliament this time today? Or is it all going to be centered around the sudden resignation of Vice President Jagdeep Dhankhar? That's what we're tracking. We will keep coming back to you with more details.